I'm Dawson Wirtz, and in this video essay, I will be covering the life of Benjamin Franklin based on information gathered from Benjamin Franklin, An American Life by Walter Isaacson. Many see Benjamin Franklin as an inventor or that guy who flew a kite in a thunderstorm and discovered electricity, but he is so much more than that. Yes, he was an inventor, but he was also an author, politician, diplomat, postmaster, a businessman, an artisan, and a man who believed, above all else, that public service was the most important thing. Benjamin Franklin was born in Boston, Massachusetts on January 17, 1706, to Josiah Franklin and Abiah Folger. He was the 10th of 17 children and once said he was the youngest son of the youngest son for 5 generations back. He was raised in Boston and worked at his father's candle shop until he was 12, when he went and worked as an apprentice at his brother James' printing press. Due to his love of reading and writing, he was a perfect fit at the press. During his time there, he fell in love with poetry, but soon gave it up due to thinking his poetry wasn't any good. He would, however, find out that he was a very competent writer, just not when it came to poetry. At 16, Benjamin Franklin wrote 14 essays under the fake name Silence Dogood that were published in James's weekly newspaper, the New England Courant. The essays were well received, and Franklin took great pride in the idea that readers thought this could only have been written by a smart and experienced person, not a 16-year-old kid. A year later, at 17, James and Benjamin had a falling out, and he left home in the middle of the night. From there, he would travel to New York before shortly going to Philadelphia after, and then going to London. He was there for about 2 years before being offered a clerkship in Philadelphia in 1726. Sadly for him, though, a few months after starting as a clerk, the owner would pass away, leaving Benjamin Franklin to return to the one thing he knew, the printing trade. Him and a partner started a business in the printing trade, and it was there that Benjamin would create Poor Richard's Almanac. Over the next several years, he would have a hand in creating many public institutions that we take for granted today, such as a lending library, a volunteer fire team, firefighters, a paid watch force, the police, and many more things. Then, some 20 years after returning to Philadelphia, he would start studying electricity and make many discoveries during those times. First, he would prove that lightning is electricity by flying a kite with a key on it during a thunderstorm. Then, he would also prove that electricity is a single fluid with a positive and negative, not two different fluids, one with a positive, one with a negative. Create a battery that could store a charge, or make many terms related to electricity, and demonstrate the law of conservation. After his brief time as a scientist, Benjamin went into politics. He went back to London and served there before begrudgingly returning to the colonies to work as the Postmaster General. He was a loyalist before the Revolution due to his extensive amount of time spent in London. He wrote upwards of 125 newsletters in an attempt to help bring the British and the colonies closer together. He fell into a predicament, though, since the British thought he was too American, and the Americans thought he was too British, so none of them really listened to anything he wrote. After he renounced the Stamp Act in Parliament, he began to doubt the Crown and the British and began to feel that the colonies had to be free. He would go on to help write and sign the Declaration of Independence, and even after his death, he was still being recognized for things when, in 1914, his face was put on the $100 bill, the highest denominated bill in circulation in the United States. There was no time during Benjamin Franklin's life that he wasn't doing something or creating something that would help improve the lives of others. That's why he should be remembered in the 21st century. Not because he was a bit of a pervert in his youth, but because of all the good things that he did. So many of the things he created are still around today. For example, look up. Do you see a light bulb? He may not have created it, but he did discover a lot about the electricity that runs it. And who do you call if you're in trouble or the house is on fire? The police and the firefighters, both of which were public institutions created by Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin may have been loyal to the Crown for quite some time, but he would eventually feel like an American. And even before that, he pioneered many things and proved that someone that comes from nothing, with enough hard work and effort, can make a name for themselves and go down in history as one of the greatest men in the United States. He was not only there when the idea of the American dream was created, he was also one that got to live that dream.